If you're an introvert and you're having issues closing deals, this video is for you. So today I'm going to be showing you a simple framework that I've picked up over the years to help me increase my conversions anywhere from 20 to 50%. These are things I've learned after nearly 10 years of working in high ticket sales and generating over $20 million worth of deals. So if that sounds interesting, let's get into it.
Alright guys, so I'm going to keep this tight. 20, 30 minutes tops of talking. I'll keep it fast, and then at the end there'll be lots of time for networking, talking, so don't worry about it. If you saw the water, we got water in the back. All good. If you have to get up and move around, that's totally fine, but please don't touch that table. If you touch it, the thing dies and the screen goes dead, alright? So try not to touch the table, alright? And everyone can hear me? Okay, here we go. So I'm going to start off by showing you guys some pictures of some creepy dolls. It's a little hard to see, but first one we have is the Coconut Pirate. Now the Coconut Pirate was bought for $2.99. It was then later sold for a price of $20.50, or a respectable 586% price increase. Next we have this creepy voodoo painted lady thing. She was bought for 25 cents. Then was later sold for $24.50, or a 9,700% price increase. Last but not least, the crowd favorite, we have the Indian Maiden. The Indian Maiden was bought for 99 cents, and then was later sold for final price of $157.50, or 15,809% price increase. So in total, this was done for about 100 different items. They were bought for around 128 bucks. They were sold for around $3,600 on average. It was a 2,700% price increase. So, how was this done? This was done with storytelling. So all these dolls, they're part of a study. These two dudes just bought a bunch of thrift store junk, wrote some short stories about them that weren't even that compelling, and then resold them on eBay for a massive profit, as you can see. So, what's the moral of the story? Well, my first thought was, man, what are we all doing with SEO or whatever? Let's just go slang some thrift store junk, and that's the secret business, right? No? Okay. So what the researchers decided or came up with was that by adding a story, it creates a higher emotional connection towards the items. And the more emotionally involved you are, the less objective and the less critical you become. But this talk isn't about storytelling. It's not about copywriting. It's about sales. So let's shift to what's going on out there in the market. So according to HubSpot, 70% of all sales professionals know that budgets are under greater scrutiny, and this is from last year, 2023. According to Salesforce, 67% of sales reps don't expect to meet their quota this year, and 84% missed it last year, and that was from this year, 2024. Last but not least, over the last 3 years, there was a record-breaking 16 million new business applications. 5 million of those were filed in 2023 alone. So what does this mean? What this means is that basically it's getting harder and harder than ever to get your customers to buy, and there's also a record number breaking of people, businesses, which you're competing against. So essentially what that means is you need to get better, or you're going to risk seeing your business struggle, your customers shrink. And I bet a lot of you in this room have seen something similar. It's probably why you chose to take your free day to check this out. And the best way to do so, the best way that I've seen, the best way to increase your sales without adjusting anything else, without adjusting your leads, your pre-sales, all that type of stuff, is by increasing the emotional connection which your clients have with your product. Essentially, stories sell. Now, you're probably thinking, all right, dude, so you're telling me I have to start telling stories, I have to be a storyteller. That's what you're saying now? So, no, that's not what I'm saying. I'm actually saying the opposite. You have to get them to tell their story. And by doing so, they start to sell themselves. People love talking about themselves. And when you do so, all of a sudden, instead of you telling them, they start to tell you their story, and they create that emotional connection, and you'll find that they're much more likely to make a buying decision. And guess what? Harvard even did a study on this. In 2017, Harvard Business School, they did a study. They basically broke people up into two different groups. Half the groups were told to ask less questions, the other half were told to ask more questions, and by far the people who were asking more questions, particularly 9 questions or more in a 15-minute conversation, they were judged as being more likable and having a higher emotional connection towards that person. That would be the person doing the questions. All right. Also, I don't remember the company that did this, but they did a study on sales, and they said by asking a minimum of 11 questions, you increase the success of closing the deal by 78%. And according to the Sales Insight Lab, essentially they studied 23,000 sales conversations, and what they found is that top performers asked 32 questions, where average performers were only asking 23. Okay. So bottom line, if it's not abundantly clear, the point I'm trying to make, it is ask more questions and talk less, and they start to sell themselves, okay? No excuse, introverts, this is perfect for you guys. Why? Your job is not to talk. Your job is not blah, 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 blah. Your job is to ask well-crafted questions and let them do the selling. They'll start to sell themselves in your service. And I'll talk a little bit more about how you do this in a second here. But this is the only 2 graphs I have on this, but they're really relevant, okay? This is traditionally what people think is important when people make a buying decision. Traditionally, people put about 50% or more of the emphasis on presenting. That's me telling you how great my project is, how great my product is, how it's going to solve all your problems, etc., etc. And then about 20%, which is one of the needs and questions and needs development. That's what we're talking about here. What the data shows is this is optimal. 70%, the overwhelming majority of what people need to make a buying decision actually comes from the questions and the need development. Where actually you see this guy, this red guy in the corner presenting, that's you telling them what it is you do. Got it? It's not as important as you think. But unfortunately, if it was only that easy, I wish you could just ask a bunch of questions and all of a sudden they're just going to fall in line and give you their credit cards. It doesn't quite work that way. Actually, asking too many of the wrong questions actually correlates to negative outcomes. So now that I've given you a bit of the theory that backs this up, I'll actually give you some data. So if you guys do want to start running on this, I can give you that right now. And so you can actually start getting some more sales right away. It's pretty easy. So we'll get into it here. So on every sales call, you should be asking 5 types of questions. There's 5 question types which you should be asking. The idea is you're going to have at least 3 of these prepared prior to every single call. That'll give you 15. Now 15 sounds like a lot. I promise you, it's not. It's just not, okay? One, you're going to find that a lot of these questions are the exact same for every single sales call, but also, as I was just showing back here, this is the sale. So even if it took 20, 30 minutes or whatever to get these questions together, this is what is convincing, right? So it's absolutely worth your time to do so. So 3 of each of the following. Okay. Before I get into it, last thing, for the record, a lot of this is based off a book called Spin Selling. I do put my own twist on it, but Spin Selling, it's a phenomenal book on selling. It's by Neil Rackham. So if you want to nerd out on this stuff even more, you want to see more of the data that backs all this up, you want to know how much of how much of certain types of questions are wrong in the right situation, if that makes sense. Basically how to do this a little bit more. Read this book, but I'm giving you the 80-20 on how to do this right now. All right, so step 1, we got situational questions. Situation, that's pretty easy. What is their current situation? A snapshot, right? That might be questions like, can you tell me a bit more about your business? How big's the team? And where are your clients located? You're probably doing these already. These tend to get done just about every time. But if that's too hard, we have our friend ChatGPT to help us out. So here's an example prompt. I'll just read this one off to you. So if you do want to kind of get the juices flowing, here's a good prompt. I'm the owner of an SEO agency. I'm talking to the owner of a Chevy dealership in Los Angeles. Using the SPIN method for sales, come up with 3 potential situational questions to ask. This would focus on clarity, brevity, and human tone. And there you go. Then you got some answers there to get you flowing. But in general, It's always better to do this by yourself. You know your customers better. I didn't really only do the AI if like you have no idea anything about your client or it's like a new vertical or something. But in general, you know the stuff better than ChatGPT does. But let's look at the juices flowing. All right, step 2, question type 2, vision questions. Okay, so they're here and they want to get there. That's good. There's a gap. That's what we want. Now we have something to work with, right? A vision question might be, what are some goals for the business right now? What do you want to see happen in the next 12 months? Why? Okay, and why is that important to you? Why? Why, oh why? Why do you want to double your business? Why do you want to hire 3 more employees? Why? Why? Because I'll give you a little secret right now. It's not about the money. Ever. It's not, right? It's always about things like more security for their family, so that they can get a higher validation on their business, so they can sell it, so they can have the freedom they want, or so they can have more security for their family, or so they can help more people, right? And this is what you want, because all of a sudden, if you're selling SEO or whatever, it's about security for their family, right? The emotions, going back to what we were talking about before, and that's what you want. And here's an example prompt here. This one is a little bit different, but if you want to feel free to take a snap. And again, I am posting all these slides on YouTube, guys. I don't know if you saw the QR code in the back there. I'm also going to give it to you at the end here. You can get all these slides. They'll be publicly available if you miss anything. But feel free to take a picture if needed. All right, question type 3, problem questions. So they're here. They want to get there. They're not there. There's a problem. There's probably something holding them back. That's good. Hopefully, let's say you're selling marketing, it's because they're not getting enough calls. They need more clicks or whatever. That's good. You can solve their problems. That's what you want. So a good follow-up question might be, what's holding you back from getting there? That's in response to whatever they said for their vision. I want to double my revenue. What's holding you back? Well, I need more clicks. Oh, good. Why do SEO? What are some pain points in the business right now? And okay, I'll explain this one. And here's a little tip on selling against competition. Let's say they already have an SEO agency, and they're talking to you. You're another guy. Why are they talking to you? You better believe they're not that happy. You better believe there's a problem going on. Why not ask it? Because if you don't ask that, they're just going to assume SEO guy, that guy sucks. New SEO guy, you suck. That's how it works, right? So it's better to confront these things head on. This is a little tip here. So let's say they're using an SEO agency. I might ask, if you were to rank your current agency a score out of 10, what score would you give it? And they're going to be like, oh, like 6 or 7. And I'd probably be like, dude, 6 or 7? Wow. Oh, what's going on? Now you got something to work with, right? You're building the problem up. You're making it bigger, which is what you want, right? More emotionally, making it hurt more. Going back to the emotions, right? That's what drives human action. Okay. And a prompt here. One more. Before I keep on rolling, questions, guys. Any questions? No? All right, that's okay. Feel free to stick your hands up if you got any questions. That's all good. All right, next here. Number 4, implication questions. Okay. What are the implications? What are the effects? What are the downsides of not resolving this problem? All right. You might ask a question like, how does that affect things? Could that increase the costs, or might that slow down your productivity? Essentially, you're bringing attention to the negatives of not fixing the problem. You're making it more real. You're making it hurt more. You're making them say it out loud. Right? And again, a prompt, you do have to feed the questions into ChatGPT, because essentially implication questions are always a follow-up. Essentially, whenever you ask about what are the downsides of not fixing the problem, implication question. That's all you need to remember. All right? Last and certainly not least, needs payout questions. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. Okay, so now we're going to make the connection for them. What are the benefits of them fixing their problems? Right? We're not talking about the downsides of not resolving it now. It's like, what's going to happen when we fix this for you, when we get your traffic back up, when we double your clicks or whatever. So you might ask a question like, how will that help? Why is it so important to solve that? Or why would that be useful? Now, if you're thinking, all right, you might be thinking, this is really obvious. I never asked this I would never ask this to a sales call. They know what the problems are. You would be surprised. When you're here kind of sitting here intellectualizing it, like it seems pretty obvious, but if it's just a normal conversation, it comes off very fluid and it's super powerful stuff. And again, a prompt, same thing, you have to feed in the questions if you want these. These ones, the last two, the implications, needs, payoffs, they tend to get a little bit more confusing. So this will help get the juices flowing if you need any help. All right? Okay. So how well does this stuff work? Well, conservatively expect to see a 20% bump in your conversions, and that's from the same leads. But I've seen 50% or more. It really just depends on what you guys are doing, but I promise you it's just going to go one direction, up and to the right, okay? It's powerful stuff. Okay, last thing here. And also, other than the obvious benefits that you get more money, you sign more clients, make more money, all that type of stuff, there's also some nice other benefits of doing this type of stuff, such as when you ask more questions, you start to find that you're going to start to weed out clients that you can't help. Maybe they're not good fit for your service. You're going to start to sniff out difficult clients who hasn't taken on a client that maybe a week or a month later you kind of regret it. Maybe if you would have asked a few more questions, you could have figured that out, right? You find that people are just a lot more talkative, the conversations just flow better, and for me, that means it's just a lot more fun, right? Alrighty. All right, action steps. So if you guys are convinced you want to get rolling on this, this is how you do it. So run your numbers from the last 10 calls. What does that do? That gets you a baseline for what your current conversion rates are on your sales calls. Get the 15 questions prepared that I said before. I recommend 3 of each of the 5 I mentioned before. Do another 10 calls, compare, and then email me your success stories. I love hearing the success stories. That helps me know this content's useful. It helps me know that this landed for you. So please contact me, let me know. And the slides. YouTube, Jacob Bushmaker, my name. This is a good one to take a picture of, guys. Oh, not quite, not quite. 3 more slides and we're out. All right? Good. All right, takeaways. So, don't focus so much on SEO. Don't focus so much on whatever it is you're selling, right? It's simply a medium for them to reach their goals. Ask thoughtful questions and ask thoughtful follow-up questions, and you're going to see your conversion rates soar, go up, okay? So that's nearly it. Okay, so last 2 slides, all right? Guys, I didn't have a chance to introduce myself, so a little bit about me. My name is Jacob Bushmaker. If I don't know you, I know a lot of you, but actually a good chunk of you I don't know. So, some stats about me. I've been working in virtual high-ticket sales for about 10 years. I've done about 3,000 sales prezos in that time, closed about 800 deals. Made over 72,937 cold calls, cold call dials until I stopped counting, so it's probably a bit more than that, which resulted in over $20 million USD in revenue. So now basically what I do is I teach this stuff. My agency, The Sales Formula, I help people out, I help agency owners, I help guys like you get more sales from the exact same leads. So if any of this resonated with you guys, if you're thinking, oh man, this is like one of my biggest pain points, I'm really struggling to convert leads, let us know, we can help you. Essentially everything from lead to client that converts you, we can take a look, all right? And I do want to let you guys know, if it's at all interesting to you, we are running a sale on our audit service, okay? I have a QR code in the back, the QR code there. Basically, we can take a look at everything for you. We check out everything from, like I said, lead to converted client. We put it together in a nice, handy PDF, and then you can go forth and implement as wish. We also do some other stuff as well, but I'm not going to talk about that right now. It's our most popular service. Clients say they really like it, and it's pretty common to see some pretty big conversion bumps right after implementing what we find. So if that's interesting for you, we usually charge about $2,000 for it. It's on sale for the conference goers, $597. It's about a 70% discount, and that's just for you guys here in the room. All right, and that's it, guys. So, any questions? Oh, come on. Don't. Oh, let me off that easy. Thanks, man. Hey, how you doing? Alan.
Yeah, good presentation, Jacob. I'm curious, what would be your suggestions when you're selling to different personalities? Do you change your approach, or do you follow the same questions that you use?
Yeah. Yeah, so you always are going to be changing a little bit based on who you're talking to. That's a little outside of the scope of this talk. But in general, what I'd say is these are guidelines, right? This is to get you going in the right direction. You're not just a robot saying, I wrote down these questions, I'm going to ask these. It's like, no, it's a conversation. It get things flowing. But in general, a lot of this is about psychology of selling, and humans are humans, so it does work for anyone, right? But is that helpful? Yes?
Through my proposal process, I'm usually running two sessions. A session where I ask questions, and then showing them how you solve those problems.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a time frame where the value of what you're saying here about asking questions starts to diminish? That person gets out of the conversation.
All right, just so I'm clear. So you're saying you have two calls. It's a two-step. Okay. And on the first, are you saying if you were to ask on the first, does it diminish on the second?
Yeah. So the first one, I'm asking all the questions so I can put a proper proposal together.
Slightly, particularly if the decision maker isn't on the call, right? However, a nice bonus, if you are talking to, let's say it's not the decision maker, they need to run it up the chain. The last one I talked about, the needs payoff questions, I would focus more on those, because essentially what you're doing is you're training the person to pitch your product up the chain, right? I'm going to do this. They're going to double our clicks so that we can then hire another person, so that, right? So they can then go say that up the chain. Okay, but in general, just do it on the first call, right? And it'll be fine. Anything else, guys? All right. Guys, really appreciate you coming out. Okay, now it's we're done for now. We got the space for another hour and a half, so lots of time to hang out, networking. Hey, if any of you guys do lead generation, by the way, any of you guys do lead generation, come talk to me. I got some questions for you guys. All right, so lead generation. I want to hear from you guys. But that's it. Please mingle, and really appreciate it.